It started innocently enough, or at least I told myself it did. My best friend, Lauren, had been in my life since college. The one person I thought I could trust with anything. The person I shared every secret and dream with. We were inseparable, or so I believed. When I met Alex, it felt like everything aligned perfectly. He was charming, ambitious, and yes, he was a millionaire. But that never mattered to me at first. I was drawn to him because of how he made me feel. Seen, understood, alive in ways I had never experienced. Lauren was the first to congratulate me when Alex and I officially started dating. She seemed genuinely happy, throwing little celebrations, sending thoughtful messages, always by my side. I never noticed the way her smiles sometimes lingered a bit too long when Alex was around, or the subtle way she touched his arm during group outings. I shrugged off the tiny doubts that whispered in the back of my mind. After all, she was my best friend. At first, the betrayal was imperceptible. A text from Alex that I didn't quite see. A coffee meetup I didn't attend. Lauren was always there for me, or so I thought. But slowly the cracks began to show. She started to share stories with me that sounded suspiciously like Alex's personal anecdotes. She laughed at his jokes before I could even tell him mine. I brushed it off, convincing myself it was paranoia, but deep down, a cold unease settled in my chest. Then came the night that changed everything. I had planned a quiet anniversary dinner for Alex and me, one of those moments I imagined would define the happiness we had built. I arrived at the restaurant heart full of anticipation, only to find Alex missing. My phone buzzed, a message from Lauren. He couldn't make it. Something came up. I'm here, though. Want to grab a drink? Something in my gut twisted. My mind raced as I pieced together the subtle hints I had ignored. In the weeks that followed, the truth became undeniable. Alex and Lauren were no longer hiding their connection. The betrayal was complete, public, and brutal. I remember walking into a boutique one afternoon, only to see them holding hands, laughing in a way that used to be ours. The world seemed to tilt, my stomach sank, and I realized that the life I thought I had was gone. It wasn't just Alex. It was the friend I had trusted more than anyone. My heart ached with a sharp, relentless pain. I tried to confront Alex first, hoping for remorse, hoping for an explanation, but there was none. He spoke in rehearsed words, avoiding my gaze, as though the years we shared had been nothing more than a rehearsal for this betrayal. I left, feeling hollow, the floor beneath me slipping with each step. The nights were the hardest. Alone in my apartment, the memories played on repeat, torturing me. The way he used to hold me, the whispered promises, the shared dreams. And then there was Lauren. I wanted to scream at her, to shake her, to demand why she would do this to me. But every time I looked at her, she smiled that perfect, unrepentant smile, the kind that made people believe she had done nothing wrong. I began to withdraw, retreating into myself, questioning not just my love but my judgment, my ability to trust. The betrayal cut deeper than I could have imagined, not just because of Alex, but because someone I loved and confided in had used that love as a weapon against me. Friends tried to console me, saying time would heal the wounds, that I would find someone else. But the betrayal was not something that could be easily erased. Every encounter with them became a test of endurance, a reminder of what I had lost. I learned to navigate the social minefield, attending events where I would see them together, holding back tears, forcing smiles, and pretending I was unaffected. It was exhausting. But I had no choice. In the solitude of my own life, I began to reflect on everything. The signs I had ignored, the trust I had given blindly, the love I had thought unbreakable. It was painful, but it was also enlightening. I realized that I had been clinging to illusions, and while it hurt to let go, it was necessary. I started to focus on myself, on reclaiming the person I had been before the betrayal. The journey was slow, filled with setbacks, moments of despair, but gradually I felt strength returning. I discovered resilience I didn't know I possessed. I pursued my passions more fiercely, invested in my career, and surrounded myself with people who valued authenticity. And somewhere in that healing process, I began to understand that life has a way of balancing itself, that the universe has a rhythm even when it seems cruel. I didn't seek revenge, at least not consciously. I simply focused on living fully, on becoming someone who could not be shaken by betrayal alone. Looking back, I see that the heartbreak was both an ending and a beginning. It tore me apart, but it also forced me to rebuild, brick by brick, stronger and wiser. I learned the harsh truth about people's capacity for deceit, but I also discovered the power of my own resilience. And while Lauren and Alex celebrated their stolen happiness, I quietly nurtured my own growth, not yet knowing how the story would come full circle, but certain that the world had more in store for me than heartbreak alone. 5 years passed. 5 years during which I buried the pain, rebuilt my life, and most importantly, learned the subtle art of observation. I had no intention of revisiting the past, but fate has its own way of inserting itself into the quiet corners of our lives. Lauren, once a shadow of duplicity, had become a figure everyone admired, or at least envied. Social media was her stage, and she performed flawlessly. Every post, every photo radiated success. Luxury vacations, designer outfits, sparkling smiles. She had crafted an image of perfection so convincing that even the most skeptical could believe it. I kept my distance, of course. Why engage with someone who had once shattered my heart? But the world is small, and paths cross where you least expect them. A mutual friend invited me to an art gala, insisting I attend. Hesitant, I finally agreed, more out of curiosity than social obligation. That night, the air buzzed with sophistication, champagne flutes clinking, whispered conversations about investments, travel, and achievements. And then I saw her, Lauren, radiant in a silk gown, holding Alex's arm as if they were the epitome of happiness itself. She spotted me almost immediately, and I felt the invisible weight of her gaze. But it wasn't the same gaze I remembered. There was a different energy now. She smiled broadly, the kind of smile that boasts of victories, triumphs over those once underestimated. She approached, her steps measured, confident, predatory in their subtlety. "It's been so long," she exclaimed, the warmth in her voice perfectly calibrated. "Look at you, thriving as always, I see." I nodded politely, my expression serene, hiding the tempest beneath. We exchanged pleasantries, each word a carefully choreographed dance. She began to describe her life, the investments, the vacations, the social circles she had conquered. Her tone carried an unspoken message, a subtle attempt to assert superiority, to remind me that she had won. I listened, smiling, letting her words flow over me like water, my mind calculating, observing. She expected envy, perhaps even bitterness, but all I offered was calm composure. And then she said it, the statement that crystallized everything. "I guess some people are just destined to have it all. Don't you wish life could be this effortless?" I paused, letting the words settle in the air, as if tasting them before responding. Inside, a quiet satisfaction stirred. "It does look perfect, doesn't it?" I said softly, keeping my tone neutral, almost reflective. She beamed, confident that she had won the emotional game. But I had learned something crucial over these 5 years. Appearances are often deceptive, and perfection is an illusion. Throughout the evening, she continued to boast, subtly highlighting Alex's achievements, their adventures, their seamless life. I listened with polite interest, never breaking character, never giving away the calm I had cultivated. Every anecdote, every laugh, every pose she struck for her audience reinforced the illusion of her flawless existence. And yet, beneath it all, I recognized cracks she could not disguise. The fleeting glance of worry, the slight hesitation when she spoke about future plans, the tension underlying even the most carefully posed moments. I realized then that people like Lauren depend on performance, on constant validation, on showing the world what they want it to see. But I had learned to value reality, substance, and genuine connection. I had spent these years building a life grounded in authenticity, one that could withstand scrutiny and betrayal alike. While she presented a glittering facade, I had cultivated resilience, depth, and self-respect, qualities invisible to the casual observer, but potent in their quiet power. As the night drew on, she continued her parade of achievements, blissfully unaware that I had grown beyond envy, beyond the pain of lost love. I watched her laughter, observed her gestures, and allowed a private, knowing smile to cross my face. She thought she had it all figured out. She believed that the past was a distant memory she had mastered. Yet, I held a secret, one she could never anticipate, a truth hidden beneath layers of calm and patience. By the end of the evening, as we parted ways, she offered one final flourish of triumph. "It's amazing to see how far we've all come," she said, eyes gleaming with self-satisfaction. I nodded once more, keeping my tone steady, my composure intact. "It really is," I replied, letting the words linger with double meaning, though she remained oblivious. Walking away, I felt a lightness I hadn't expected, a quiet confidence in the knowledge that life is never as one-dimensional as it seems, and that time often reveals truths that words cannot. The lesson of those 5 years crystallized in that moment. Appearances can be deceiving, and the loudest boasts often conceal uncertainty. While Lauren basked in her constructed image, I had cultivated a life rich in authenticity, self-respect, and hidden victories. The stage was set, and when the moment came to reveal the next chapter, it would not be in brash declarations or social media posts. It would be in the quiet revelation of reality, in the undeniable truth that some triumphs are private, and the most profound victories are experienced, not displayed. The twist came unexpectedly, the kind that no one sees coming until it's standing right in front of them. I had spent years quietly building a life I could be proud of, and in the process, I met someone remarkable, someone who understood me, respected me, and saw the person I had become. I didn't expect history to repeat itself. And yet, in the most ironic turn of fate, Alex, the man who had once been mine and was stolen by Lauren, entered my life again. It wasn't a coincidence. Life has a peculiar way of orchestrating moments, of allowing justice to unfold without fanfare or spectacle. I ran into Alex at a charity event, a gathering of entrepreneurs and philanthropists. Time had transformed him in subtle ways. The arrogance softened, the charm became tempered by experience, and the confidence he once wielded like a weapon was now grounded in reflection. When our eyes met across the room, the past surged forward, but this time I was prepared. There was no ache of betrayal, only clarity and quiet amusement at the irony of the encounter. We spoke that night, cautiously at first, circling around the edges of shared memories and unspoken questions. Alex's tone was measured, tinged with humility, a stark contrast to the man who had once evaded accountability. It became clear that the years apart had changed more than just the surface of our lives. He had seen what true consequence felt like, the emptiness of a life built on someone else's affection. And in that recognition, something shifted between us, a mutual understanding, an unspoken reconciliation, and a possibility neither of us had dared to imagine before. The next months were a careful dance of rediscovery. We explored the layers of our connection, rebuilding trust brick by brick, yet differently this time, with patience, respect, and transparency. The history of betrayal never disappeared, but it no longer dictated the terms of our relationship. It became a shadow that reminded us of resilience, of lessons learned, and of the profound value of second chances. Meanwhile, Lauren continued her life of ostentatious perfection, oblivious to the subtle shift in the narrative. Social media updates, glamorous photos, and boastful captions painted the image of a life untouchable. And yet behind the curated images, the cracks began to show. The effortless confidence she projected masked private insecurities, financial pressures, relationship strains, and the constant need for validation. The house of cards she had built was impressive from a distance, but fragile beneath the surface. Then came the moment that sealed the irony. A social gathering, a reunion of old friends and colleagues, brought us together once more. Lauren approached, radiant as ever, the very picture of triumph, fully expecting to intimidate me with her carefully constructed life. But this time the dynamic had shifted. I arrived with Alex at my side, not in secrecy but openly, confidently. The room subtly turned. The whispers of curiosity and surprise floated through the air. Lauren froze, the perfect smile faltering ever so slightly as she processed the scene. "Have you met my husband yet?" I asked, my voice calm and steady. carrying a weight that only years of patience and growth could lend. The words were simple, but their impact was profound. The irony was delicious, though I felt no need for gloating. I didn't need to announce triumph loudly. The truth spoke for itself. The man she had stolen from me, the man she had flaunted, was now by my side, voluntarily, genuinely, and with a depth of connection that money or status could never buy. Her expression flickered through shock, disbelief, and finally a forced smile. I met it with serene composure. The room seemed to pivot, a subtle shift in the balance of perception. I had learned something invaluable over these years. The most satisfying victories are quiet, lived rather than displayed. The satisfaction didn't come from revenge or humiliation, but from the profound awareness that life had restored equilibrium in its own time and manner. In the following weeks, the story unfolded naturally. Friends and acquaintances observed the subtle contrast. Lauren's life, polished yet hollow, versus mine, rich with authenticity, love, and genuine partnership. The social media posts continued, but now they lacked the unassailable aura they once held. I had moved beyond resentment. Instead, I embraced joy, knowing that the man at my side had chosen me freely, with understanding, respect, and enduring affection. I often reflect on that journey. The heartbreak, the betrayal, the years of patient self-cultivation, and the eventual unexpected reunion. Each stage taught me something vital about trust, resilience, authenticity, and the power of time to reveal truths invisible in the immediacy of pain. Life, I realized, is not measured by stolen moments or fleeting triumphs, but by the depth of connection and integrity we cultivate in ourselves and our relationships. And so, as I stand with Alex, witnessing the life we have built together, I smile, not with arrogance, not with vengeance, but with a quiet understanding of the poetic justice that life often delivers. The past has shaped us, but it does not define us. The future stretches ahead, promising growth, love, and shared victories that are real because they are earned. And as for Lauren, she continues her performance, unaware that the true story, our story, has quietly, irrefutably rewritten itself.